Touma held up his right hand as the 5 T-spheres flew around him, acting in a line of defense. For Magnus, this was the last thing he could have possibly have anticipated, that this boy would be in possession of the infamous T-mask as well as the T-spheres. It meant that he was more connected to this than he originally thought. Now, he could no longer brush this aside. He had to take a more aggressive stance. "I'll ask you one more time, boy," Magnus said. "How did you get your hands on that mask? It was given to me by someone who obviously didn't trust you. You don't know what you're talking about. I know enough. You, whoever you work with, you're responsible for what happened to Index. So it's obvious that you're my enemy. What more is there to know? You're way over your head. One way or another, I'll find out how you're involved in this, and you'll pay for what you've done." "For what I've done?" Touma said, a tinge of anger searing in his voice. "You harm Index. You come here throwing your flames around, not caring at all about who you would have hurt. And you have the nerve to lecture me?" Without warning, Magnus would shoot off another one of his fireballs, though Touma would be able to dissipate it immediately. With the T-spheres at his command, he would order for them to protect Index. The spheres would move past Magnus immediately, brushing him aside as they created a barrier, one that he couldn't breach. "The target, while in a critical condition, is still alive. How would you like us to operate, Master Touma?" "Monitor Index and keep me updated on her status. Leave him to me." He wasn't fully sure what he could do with these T-spheres, but now, the most important thing was keeping Index safe. This guy, he could handle. After all, his hand was able to work not just against espers, but now it could work against sorcerers. No matter what magic he was pulling, he could erase it. And all he had to do was get close, even the score. And once that was done, he could take him out. Magnus would now go on the offensive as he began to rain down fire on Touma. From ash to ash, from dusk to dusk, prepare for the agony of squeamish blood rude. Through a circle of flames, what appeared to be a giant mass of a fiery man would emerge. It's like some sort of fiery demon crawling straight out of hell. It had been summoned forth via the runes that had been spread all throughout the halls, a source of his magic. Inside of the fiery beast in its hand, a weapon. As the beast brought it down onto Touma, he raised his right hand to try to extinguish it, but it wouldn't go away. At least not initially. Touma and the beast found themselves in a constant standstill, a loop that never ended. The flames were being extinguished, but through the magic, they were reignited every time. This was the secret of his technique. With the ruined symbols that had been placed all around, like talismans being glued to the floors, that was where the fire was constantly being emitted from. Index, now entering into a more catatonic state, her voice more robotic, would reveal the secret to Touma, revealing the secret to the magic that was being used, explaining that the power came from the ruined symbols, and that unless they were removed, then the beast would not be defeated. Magnus would look back to Index in anger. He would have tried to strike her, but the T-spheres kept the barrier placed up. For now, he would focus on destroying the boy. He could come back and deal with that pesky heretic technology later. He cursed under his breath. What the hell were you thinking, Michael? You give that type of power to a child, someone way in over his head. For Touma, the only thing he could do was retreat, as a large explosion would occur on his floor. He jumped down 3 stories to the next, and he saw that there were more runes in place. So that's how he's doing it. The magic must come from these ruined symbols. But he's placed them all over the complex halls. There's no way I can get rid of them. Before Touma could even react, flames shot into his back, knocking him down. Magnus was onto him. Even if you could figure out how my technique works, there's little you can do to stop it. You know how this works, don't you? A sacrifice is needed, something that your precious science can't possibly hope to overcome. In this world of man and his foolishness, he thinks that he can claim it all, never minding the word of God that homes upon him, to think that there would be no consequence for his actions. Now you're just wanting to spout nonsense? I'm telling you the reality, kid. Your little T-spheres, they're powerful, I'll admit. And as long as you keep them around Index, I can't reach her. But I know that you need them for combat. If you call them back to you, Index will be easy for the taking. But without them, you know you're not going to last long, and they may be your only chance to win this fight. That's what you think. But you know, funny enough, when you apply the scientific method to anything, the problem becomes a lot more clear. And what do you mean by that? Simple, really. Your runes, they're drawn on pieces of paper with ink, aren't they? Yeah, and what about it? I might not be able to get rid of all of them, but I don't have to. You're gonna do it for me. What? What the hell are you talking about, kid? Suddenly, a blaring alarm would start to go off. It was the emergency water sprinklers. The fire alarms had been detected and the water began to rain in the halls. The ruined symbols drawn on the talisman paper, they began to wash away, getting soggy wet, being destroyed. Magic and science, they tend to go hand in hand. Your ruins, your symbols, they might be powerful, but they're only powerful when they're intact. But what happens when the symbol is sloppy wet, when it's tattered? You thought you had the advantage because you placed them everywhere. And perhaps you did, if you had managed to take me out when you had the chance. But you have a bad habit of monologuing. And now that's gonna be your undoing. What? No. What the hell? He tried to command his beast, but slowly the flames would dissipate. Without the magic runes that had already been drawn, slowly being washed away, the paper being disintegrated, they were useless. Magnus could only use his basic fire magic, but before he had a chance, Touma was already in front of him. He grabbed him by the shoulder, making sure to hold him firmly as he used his left hand and delivered a devastating punch to his gut. You rely way too much on your magic, Magnus. Because of that, it gives me a lot of tells about you. You might be bigger than me, but you're not all that strong. I bet someone like you is pretty fond of your mystical skills. So much that you probably never lifted a hand a day in your life. When's the last time you hit a weight bag, went to a gym? Hell, even I can run a few miles a day at least. What's your point, kid? The T-spheres would now come back. Through his mental command, they stood behind Touma at the ready. It means that once I take away your magic, you're pretty much useless. What? Before he could even attack, Touma would back away quickly, the T-spheres flying in front of him. All right, I want you to spin. We're going to call this technique T5 Cyclone. Create a giant barrier gust of wind and send this bastard packing. In response, the T-spheres, now floating in a circle, would begin to spin in that motion, creating a miniature vortex on the hall floor, knocking Magnus far away. After he had finished his fight with him, he immediately raced back to Index, still stuck in her robotic catatonic-like state. She was talking, but it wasn't the same way as before. It was more subdued, neutral, like someone who was listening to a computer ramble off code or message. Whatever had happened to her, it was obvious that she was in critical need of attention. But he couldn't go to a hospital, at least not now. Whoever was after him, chances are they probably had high sources of intel. If they went to a doctor's office, they'd just be bringing problems onto them. But where? Where could he go? He knew one person, though she probably wasn't going to be too happy to see him. It was towards midnight, and there was a knock at the door. Miss Kamijo would open it. I don't know who's knocking at this time of night. I have to be up at 5 a.m. for first bell. Look, I don't know what you want, but I'm not interested. I'm not trying to buy anything. It's just Miss Kamijo, Touma would say. Huh? Touma? What are you doing here? What's on your face? And, He barged into the room carrying Index. I need your help. Please. We need to treat her immediately, or she's going to die. What? Touma, why would you bring... Who is this girl? Why is she so bloody? You should have taken her to a hospital and... I didn't have time for that, Miss Kamijo. If I do, she's going to be in serious trouble. Please, I came to you because I didn't know where else to turn. While Miss Kamijo would help with Index, Touma would run through his options with the T-spheres. Whatever they were sophisticated pieces of technology, obviously far more advanced than even the most smartest of supercomputers in the world. He tried to question them, asking if there was any way that they could assist with helping Index, but unfortunately they could not. It was at that moment that Index would continue to speak, though it wasn't her authentic self. Whatever type of state she was in, she would alert them to the fact that Index was in need of critical care that could only be achieved through the use of a magical ritual, something that only she and Miss Kamijo could perform. Touma would have to step outside for now, and that was probably the best thing that he could do. With the T-spheres, he would stand outside and keep watch until the ritual was over. As he waited, his mind would continue to race with everything that he had experienced. His fight with Magnus, the confirmation that magic and sorcerers existed in this world. Just what truly had Index been gotten into? And then there was the death of this guy named Michael Holt, or Mr. Terrific as he called himself. Magnus seemed to know who he was. Was he an enemy? Scorned ally? Hard to tell. He waited for what seemed like eternity until the door would open. Miss Kamijo would allow for him to come in, as Index was sleeping on the couch. It seems we were able to stabilize her wound, and she seems to be in the clear for now. I have no idea what's going on, Touma, but whatever this is, I need to alert the school board immediately. Please, you can't, She raised her hand. That's what I would have to do under most normal circumstances. I don't know why, but I can tell by that look on your face. It's probably very important that I don't tell anyone about this. But at the same time, this isn't something that I can just ignore. Here's what I'm going to do. I need to go grocery shopping. Grocery shopping? At this hour? There are 24-hour convenience stores at Academy City. You know this. There are some things I need to pick up. When I come back to an empty apartment. And this night never happened. I never saw you. You were never here. Do you understand? Right. Thank you. Don't thank me. I didn't do anything, remember? With assistance from the T-Spheres, Touma would take Index back to his apartment. The T-Spheres would be kept on high alert. If anything were to happen, if there was any type of problem within a certain radius, they would inform him immediately. For now, he would just wait, allowing for Index to sleep. The next morning, she awoke perfectly fine, without any real memory about what happened the night before. As she looked at Touma, she could see that he didn't get much sleep at all. Touma? Touma? Touma! Index. Hey, you seem to be doing better. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. What's up with you? You look like you stayed up all night. Playing video games? Or were you hormonally frustrated? Shut up! But you're okay, right? I'm perfectly fine. Why do you ask? She has no memory about last night. Maybe that's for the best. Listen, Index. Why exactly are people after you? I mean, I know you said something about grimoires and stuff, but surely it can't be so bad that it will cost you your life. You would think that, wouldn't you? Then again, you are a heretic that doesn't have the blessing of God, and you don't understand magic at all. You only believe in your science and what you can see. But you can't believe in the things that are unseen, can you? A leap of faith? I'm willing to try if you'll help me. Look, I don't know what's going on. About you, your friend, all of this. Well, I guess I should start from the beginning. As I'm sure you're probably aware, I come from an organization aligned with the church. The church? Well, yes, there is a church. But it's more than just a place of worship to God. Churches and other organizations in the more mystical elements of the world, each one with their own principles and beliefs. I come from a particular organization known as Necessarius. Necessarius, Touma said. Yes, I was born with a unique gift. Photographic memory. Anything I read, it stays in my mind forever. It never goes away. I only have to read it once, and I can retain the information perfectly. That's actually pretty incredible. But why would that be a danger? Well, with my gifts, it means that I can save any knowledge that I'm given. And I have the unique ability not to suffer from the side effects. The side effects. Touma, in this world, would you believe that power comes from wisdom? I mean, is that like saying knowledge is power? Yes, in a way of speaking. Words carry a lot of weight, Touma, both good and bad. The blessing and the curse. Those aren't just empty words that you throw out into the world. They carry weight behind them. Once you've learned magic, words become even more dangerous. A grimoire, a book about spells, both good and evil, things in this world that should never be unleashed. They're destroyed, and for good reason. Dark magic, spells that form into a binding hold of the darkness, the Necronomicon Deus Mortis. so on and so forth. Alchemy, all other forms of sorcery. These powers, though ancient, have always existed in the world of man. And when man learned how to write and read, they learned that they could save these words. But in doing so, when they're gathered together, great power comes along with them. Words of good, they bring forth blessings. But words of evil and hate, they can bring the curse. So what you're saying is, with your photographic memory, you've been able to read and memorize these grimoires or books of magic. All 103,000? Yes, that's my ability. All of that information, it's stored into my mind. And people want what's in my mind. You could say that I have a catalog of unlimited power, though I don't have any natural magical ability myself, so it's impossible to use. But for the ones that can, I become a treasure trove of knowledge. But when you use a grimoire, when you read it, it takes a piece of you, a piece of your soul that you can never get back. It corrupts. An absolute power that can corrupt absolutely. My knowledge brings forth the apocalypse. That's why grimoires, they're outlawed. They're meant to be destroyed at every opportunity. But that power, it can never be lost. I'm sorry, but this doesn't make any sense. If your organization is so against the use of grimoires and that type of magic, why would they even want to save that knowledge? Because knowledge must be preserved even if no one else can use it. That doesn't make any sense, Touma would say. So your organization puts the burden on you of carrying that knowledge. A knowledge so terrible that if anyone else got their hands on it, it could spell disaster in the end of the world. But no one else is allowed to have it except for you. And even then, you can't use it either. So they want to keep the knowledge preserved in the world, but no one's allowed to use it. That's like keeping hold of a whole bunch of nuclear weapons, but no one ever plans on using them either. Well, certain circumstances can come about. You never know what the future holds. Perhaps someday mankind will face a disaster so terrible that they'll need this forbidden knowledge. It has to exist in some way, some shape and form, but it can't be made readily available to the public. Like you said, it would be dangerous if countries all hoarded nuclear weapons, since they could easily destroy each other. But at the same time, when meteorites or other forms of giant space rock come to the Earth, those same nukes could possibly save the planet. It's a dangerous weapon, yes, but it's not a weapon that you can just get rid of, because you never know when you might need that weapon. But that doesn't explain why they're after you, though. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Michael always suspected that Necessarius might be behind it. Perhaps I've grown too powerful and they want to take me out. So he knew about Necessarius then. Tell me, your friend Michael Holt, right? Did he ever encounter a sorcerer who could use fire? I can't say I remember off the top of my head. He never kept me around when fighting happened. Always kept me hidden away. Perhaps. Then that means any sorcerer that crosses my path, they could likely be my enemies. I need to do more research. Really know what I'm getting myself into. While Touma was deep in thought, Index's stomach would begin to growl. But he was so busy thinking he couldn't hear any time she was saying his name, so she would get his attention another way. Well, you left me no choice. Get Index! Get off of my arm! Why are you biting me? Because I'm hungry, and you didn't listen to me. I'll get you something to eat. Oh my God, she has a grip like a monkey wrench. Let me go! You're leaving imprints! Ow! For Touma, he had a deep bite mark on his left arm. The bite mark even piercing the skin. Damn, she couldn't let go. He had to get her some food fast. But first, he had to find his wallet. Oh, crap. I hope I didn't lose my wallet. Ah! This is what happens when you don't have the blessing of God. Not now, Index! Meanwhile, from a distance, two figures standing on top of a roof overlook the city, watching as Touma and Index travel amongst the people. Thanks, Kaori. I can't believe you allowed yourself to get played like that, Stylus, the woman said with long dark hair tied into a ponytail. Outside of the sword that she carried on her back, she looked no different from the average girl, wearing a crop top and jeans. So he inherited the T-mask, huh? I guess Michael was more careful than we thought. And he's obviously chosen a powerful ally, someone to even inherit his power. He's just continuing to be a fool, even in death. He got that kid involved for no reason. Now he just thinks that we're the enemies. We are, aren't we? We're doing what needs to be done. Michael used to understand that. But then he just went on his stupid crusade, and now it's gotten him killed. We need to get Index before he does. You know this. I do. We need to separate the two of them. Once that's done, we can take him out. He's a crafty little bastard. He probably doesn't even fully understand how those powers work. Not like I do anyway. It doesn't matter. No matter how powerful he might be, one false step in my trap, and he'll be done for. Once we remove him, we can grab hold of Index, and we can finish this once and for all. While I'm working on him, you need to go and find the pirate. That sadist. He's the last one I want to be involved with. Well, it's not like you can go after him again. The boy will see you coming. He doesn't suspect me, though. I have the element of surprise. We should work to our advantages. Besides, I trust you to take care of the psycho pirate. Fine. He shouldn't be too hard to find even in this city. I'll get back to you when I make contact. Kaori, do not let your guard down against him. Don't worry. I'm only going to need 3 strikes. This concludes A Certain Magical Index Sage of Knowledge. What if Touma Kamijo was Mr. Terrific? Season 1, Part 2. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned next time as we continue with A Certain Magical Index, Sage of Knowledge. What if Touma Kamijo was Mr. Terrific? Season 1, Part 3. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.